Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're back with another video. We're going to be covering Lifestealer in today's video, and you know the meta is weird when you look at Team Spirit versus Team Tundra, probably the best two teams in the world right now, and the opener is Phantom Assassin and then Lifestealer. You know what's really funny? On Dota 2 Pro Tracker, Phantom Assassin has a very good win rate into Lifestealer. It's one of the best heroes. And yet, it doesn't matter for Tundra. They just pick Lifestealer as a response. Yeah, I don't know, seeing two carries as the opener, especially when like one of them is kind of countered by the other technically based on stats. I mean, even later in the day, we saw Team Falcons pick PA into Lifestealer. Maybe teams just think that these are the best two carries and so they should be prioritized. That seems to be sort of what's happening. But nonetheless, let's talk about Lifestealer and why it's probably, if not definitely, the best carry in Dota right now. On top of that, go sign up to the gameleap website, guys. I'm posting new content over there almost every day, and I'll see you there. Okay, first let's start by talking about what's different about the hero. So the first thing is they actually nerfed his movement speed. They gave him a new facet. This is the main one that people take. However, the other one might be good, but we're going to focus on Flesh Feast for today. So Flesh Feast makes it where you get more max HP per hero kill. In fact, when it's maxed out, it's 55 health for a hero kill, which can really snowball. On top of that, and I would say more importantly, the cooldown of open wounds is reset if a hero dies while afflicted by open wounds. What's really funny is that this is actually miswording. It also counts for units. So if you're farming a neutral creep or a lane creep, you can actually cast open wounds, heal off the creep, and if the creep dies, you will get your open wounds back, allowing you to continue to heal. And so this ability in this facet is really great for that reason. For farming, for healing in the lane, and for team fights. And I actually think even pros are not optimized in this facet yet because they don't understand that this works on units and that you can abuse it. And another thing that I like to mention that's really crucial here is actually this 10 talent is great. 4 all stats on Lifestealer just makes him that much more tanky. This hero, when it buys Radiance, sometimes can lack a little bit of health, and this 4 all stats can often put him over the edge, allow him to get off Rage, or allow him to get off Infest. For starting items, it switches up a little bit, but this tends to be the main item build you want to go. This hero's base damage is really bad, and so you need to supplement it with items that give you pretty close to max damage. You'll even notice that he doesn't have tangos. This is of course very intentional, as again, you need to maximize your damage. After that, you're going to buy a set of tangos, and there's a couple of different item builds you can buy. Some people will upgrade into the Bracer, some people will buy Corrosion, and some people will just rush Phase Boots. Also in some lanes, it's good to buy Stick, and I think in this lane, he definitely could have bought Stick as a second item, as it's pretty good against Tide, and it's pretty good against Riki. Now, Lifestealer is a really weird hero at level 1. It's weird for a couple of reasons. It's weird because, well, it doesn't have a range creep secure, and a lot of carries that don't have that are pretty bad at actually, securing the creep. And so for these types of heroes, especially for Lifestealer, what you want to do is use the 30 attack speed of Ghoul Frenzy if you have a 1v1 to trade with the offlaner. Now, I'm specifying if you have a 1v1 because in this game, Whitemon is zoning out Root, right? And so he's free to hit. And this is a matchup where you can sort of do that. And, there's a lot of strength offlaners right now that are meta, and you can just trade with them, right? It's quite efficient. You have your innate, right? Which is Feast, and Feast allows you to heal, right? It's Lifesteal. It also does max health per damage. So the next thing you want to talk about that is probably, in my opinion, the most broken part of the hero that is new-ish at least, is the fact that your innate allows you to deny when creeps are at 75% health. I would say most of the people watching the video probably don't even know that, but that's just part of the hero and it works at level 1. So what this does, and you'll see it throughout the lane, is it allows you to maintain creep equilibrium. Now, this is a lane where early on it's not going to come into play. In fact, he just chases down Collapse. I couldn't believe he got that kill. This hero actually isn't usually that aggressive at level 1. But because the Riki is just dragging waves and the Tide is left alone, this is just Dyrachyo being an absolute beast. But you'll actually see quickly on this range creep here, he has the option before this range creep actually goes below half health, right? This is not in deny range yet. He can just start hitting it. Now, in this case, it obviously didn't really matter, but it's cool, right? And for instance here, if he wanted to pull the lane back, let's say the Tide Hunter wasn't here, he could start denying this creep right now. And this makes, oh, he actually did there, right? And so Lifestealer, his biggest issue is that often early on, if you don't have rage and you push the wave, you don't have a good way to secure the range creep and you'll get baited to go for it and die. Now you kind of either just trade because this hero has pretty good trading abilities, right? Open wounds plus Ghoul Frenzy is just a lot of lifesteal, but you also have the option to just try to deny to get the wave back. And that's actually way more common. The gameplay we're seeing here is certainly the exception. This hyper aggression, I would say, is mostly a symptom of Riki being not bad early on, but not really good enough to threaten Lifestealer like something like a Muerta might. In terms of his items, you can see he picked up a Bracer. He's got his Blades of Attack. And this is pretty standard. This hero's base armor is not great, and so occasionally chainmail is alright in some lanes. This actually could be a lane where you justify going chainmail first. Some people will buy boots first if the lane is absurdly easy, but in general I would say Blades of Attack tends to be the way to go, especially because you have 50 bonus attack speed, and so damage is hyper efficient on this hero. And the best example of denying I could find for this early game is right here, right? You'll notice here he's trying to deny this melee creep. Unfortunately, it's barely over that 75% threshold, but funny enough, it ticks into that threshold right here, and now he can just start denying it, and that's huge, right? Because he gets 1 hit, 2 hit before it's even deny range, and now that prevents Tide from being able to react, get there in time, and on top of that, it just allows him to maintain creep equilibrium in a perfect position, and he can do the same exact thing here if he was to want to. Obviously, he's not going to do it here. Instead, he tries to trade with the Tide, which just straight up did not work out for him. It was definitely a mistake. Dyrachyo is certainly a limit tester, let me tell you. But yeah, generally this hero at level 3, especially on its phase boots timing, starts to trade extremely well, and you should look for it. Now, moving on ahead, typically Lifestealer just sits in his lane for as long as possible. And this is something that's really nice about the hero. You don't really want to rotate. You can TP in and save people. Something to keep in mind is that Infest is a 400 HP heal. When you infest someone, they get that much health. In fact, this is a really funny play. His Phoenix plans on dead laning here. Perhaps he feels a little bit threatened, maybe Storm's missing, and so he actually just infests Phoenix to heal him for the 400 health, and then farms jungle. I can't say I exactly recommend that play, but it's certainly cool, and it allows a very greedy Phoenix to have a very good game. And honestly, it's a really strong game plan to just sit in your lane and deny and last hit for almost as long as possible. And the main reason for that is, well, number one, it's just good. Lane creeps are the name of the game for most of the game. And on top of that, every single time you get a last hit or a deny, you get 1 health. And it adds up pretty damn quickly, right? You'll see he has 85 bonus health here. That's because he got a kill, so you got that bonus max HP kill from the Corpse Eater. I believe it's 20, oh, it's 35 right now, right? Because he has a pointed feast, right? So he's got 88 bonus health, which already is, you know, a decent amount of health. And he's just keeping this perfect equilibrium, preventing Tide from getting much out of this lane, and allowing him to build up that bonus health. Now in this game, Dyrachyo actually taught me some pretty important lessons on Lifestealer. I thought that this hero was pretty bad in the early game and generally just wants to AFK farm. He was being very active. He helped his team secure the bottom tower, and then he farmed across the map. He put pressure on Storm at the mid rune. It was pretty funny. And as he comes back top, he bought a Corrosion. Now, I don't recommend buying Corrosion in most games. I think most games, it's best to just rush the Radiance and play as a mid-game timing hero. However, in this game, he played a very impressive fast game tempo. Maybe that was their game plan. I don't exactly know why he did this. But yeah, he actually gets the Corrosion, which is 16% movement speed slow against ranged heroes, 3 armor reduction, and he was very blessed to get the Orb of Destruction, right, which is a great item as a hero with 10 attack speed bonus. And so this Wyvern actually just gets chased down due to the fact that he has 3 separate slows. His W, the Corrosion, and the Destruction. And so yeah, he nearly solo kills the Wyvern. And with a bit of help from Phoenix, they take him out. So yeah, if you want to play fast, you can. You just have to buy Corrosion. However, it will typically delay the timing of your Radiance. Now in terms of skill build, what he ends up going for here is extremely standard. You max out your E, then you max out your Q, you take your ulti when you can, and he's actually deciding to take a second point in open wounds. I think it is a pretty value point to take the second point in. First of all, the damage to healing goes up by 50%, which is pretty huge. And on top of that, it goes up in cast range, which actually might be the most important stat to increase. However, I do feel that the 4 all stats at level 10 are generally worth it, as again, this is a hero where you want to push your limits. So once you have Radiance, you're one of the best heroes in the game. At this point, he's got a bonus 300 health, which is obviously a symptom of him being 4-1. It's pretty lucky that he's having this good of a game. But yeah, 300 health. He could take 4 all stats, which I personally think would be a good idea. And he's got the Brigand's Blade, which is such a good item. I mean, anything that gives you flat damage, which is why Radiance is a great item, right? You already have that 90 built-in attack speed on your hero. You really just need damage, which is why Radiance is so good. The evasion is great for countering heroes in this game like Riki, PA, and Storm. And then the flat damage is, well, yeah, just good. After that, you can see he can really start to push his limits, and that's what Lifestealer does probably better than any other hero in the patch, besides like the very tanky Ember Spirit. that goes Mage Slayer, S and Y nowadays. But yeah, baiting a mid go, tanks that, really pushing his limits here. Infest during the anchor. It's pretty funny that the anchor is inside of him, but it's not on the Abaddon, so Abaddon could just walk during it. I don't know, that looks so goofy. But yeah, he's making his Abaddon really tanky, and that's something you can do, right? At level 12, you give people 800 health when you're inside of them, and it heals them as well for that number, right? So it's pretty crazy. Now in this game, he queues up a Manta style, which I can kind of understand. I think the main thing he's buying it for is Ricky's Smoke Cloud, being able to dispel any slows such as PA Dagger, even things like Wyvern spells, or even just dodging the initial go from Storm, right? If Storm zips on you when Ricky goes on you, you can kind of disjoint his ability to easily chain stun you, and that's definitely nice. However, in 9 out of 10 games, guys, buy a Sange. Sange is one of the best items in the game on Lifestealer, as it gives you HP so you don't get bursted, it gives you status resist, slow resist, and I would say maybe most importantly, it amps HP regen and lifesteal, right? So it amps that feast lifesteal and the lifesteal from your W as well. It really is just a perfect item on this hero. At level 15, you take 50 Ghoul Frenzy attack speed, another huge benefit of the hero. It's pretty crazy that the hero gets a Moon Shard at level 15 from its passive. I mean, that is what it is, right? It's, yeah, you can imagine why this hero scales well. You get free health and free attack speed and a BKB. So all you need is damage, and then you've got it covered, and your hero also gets max HP as damage. So yeah, as long as this hero gets off to a good start, it might be the hardest carry in the game because of its just innate ways of scaling. Attack speed, free damage, free lifesteal, free BKB. I mean, it just has a free reset, you know? It's quite the hard carry for sure. So eventually, he actually takes the slightly off meta, but in my opinion, underrated 3% Ghoul Frenzy movement speed. I always say in my videos, movement speed is the name of the game, and so I wouldn't even mind him taking this talent at level 10. I personally think it was underrated last patch. I think it's underrated this patch. However, I think the for all stats is super, super nice. Again, with Radiance, you just want to frontline, you want to tank the go, live, and reset, and stats are, you know, perfect for that. Now, another nice thing about Lifestealer is team fighting is really straightforward. You kind of just go on the first person you see, and if they don't have any sort of dispel, you click W on them. For instance, I think him clicking W on the PA here is actually probably somewhat of a mistake. You could argue it forces her BKB, but in general, you actually want to try to get this spell on someone that does not have a dispel, unless you think that forcing their dispel is extremely valuable, in which some cases it is, right? If you have an Orchid on your team, then using W to force a dispel, chase someone, bait out their Manta, bait out their Yules can be a great idea. But yeah, team fights, I mean, really the hardest part about this hero is what I'm going to cover next. So at this point in the game, there's a couple of different item builds. Let's actually cover the most common one, which is Aghanim Scepter. If you don't know what it does a lot of things. So first off, it lowers the cooldown of Infest down to 20 seconds. It increases the cast range. And most importantly, you can use it on enemies. So basically, it goes through BKB, and that's the main thing you buy it for. If you're against a BKB carry, and this game is against PA, when you see the enemy carry click BKB, you infest them, and it disarms them for 5 seconds during their BKB. This is the main reason why people buy the item, and I actually think a lot of Lifestealers will frequently make the mistake of buying Ags when there isn't really much to disarm. Certain carries just aren't really bothered by the disarm, they can kite out. And in those games, I actually think it's pretty problematic to buy it. In some games, I even see Lifestealers, well, they'll use Rage in a team fight, then they'll infest offensively, and they end up with no Rage and no infest in the middle of the enemy team because they used it on an enemy. And so you gotta be careful about that, right? I would say the main value of the Ags is for disabling BKBs. If they don't do that, they don't buy that, there's a lot of different items you can buy. The first one being Assault Cuirass is pretty standard. I used to really like Silver Edge. I thought that item was pretty underrated. I think in this game, MKB is totally fine. A casual Basher is more than reasonable. And in this game, I would love to see him buy an Abyssal. I think it would be totally fine instead of Ags if there wasn't some BKB carry to buy an Abyssal and some sort of damage item. That damage item probably, as I was saying, used to be Shadowblade. It still kind of could be. And from what I looked at mostly on Dota 2 Pro Tracker, the items after Radiance plus your Yasha item, that Yasha item being Mantar S and Y, is going to be AC, BKB, and most commonly by far is the Ags. And I think some people even value the Ags really just for the cooldown and the cast range decrease. And time again, I watch these Lifestealer games and the same thing sort of just happens, which is Well, he gets gone on and doesn't die. Then it's incredibly easy for this hero to reset. The Ags also, I believe, makes him heal faster. Yeah, so he gets 10% of his max HP as regen when he's infested with the Ags. And so, yeah, he starts this fight running in like a psycho, probably overusing the rage. And this is advice I would usually give to not do this, which is rage ending, remaining on top of your opponent. Typically, this hero, at least in Dota's history, would have to sort of kite during rage. Now, with these items, like Manta or SNY, this much HP, you can play a lot more baity. And that's kind of what happens here. I actually thought there was a chance he was going to die, but the Ricky Smoke Cloud was on cooldown, and I think Team Spirit had a miscommunication. They probably were banking on the Smoke Cloud here, but it's on cooldown. As a result, there's absolutely no way they were going to kill him here. I think their best bet was to click Ravage, but again, bit of a miscommunication. Oh, I said there was no way to kill him. Actually, they were going to kill him. I'm completely lying. It was just a lack of Smoke Cloud. Collapse didn't realize. He gets off his infest, and let's be real, if Team Spirit messes up chain stuns in your 3K games, yeah, you're probably gonna live 9 out of 10 times, even if they theoretically could kill you with a perfect chain stun. And finally, to kind of wrap up this video, let's look at the end of the game, but another team fight where it's just classic Lifestealer, and you're gonna see time and time again why this hero has such a good win rate. It just kind of gets gone on and then doesn't die. And you'll notice if you look at win rates across brackets, heroes like that have this archetype are very good in pubs. And I mean, they're good in the pro scene as well, but they're very good in pubs. For instance, Aghanim and Wraith King are perfect examples. Wraith King probably being the number one. This hero's always on top of the win rates. But yeah, in this team fight, doesn't even have SNY, so he doesn't have the kite item. He goes in, gets the infest bomb kill, and I will admit, probably something I underestimated and that I'm learning from watching this game, is that the axe is also just good, because after you hit an infest bomb, you're gonna have it again by the middle of the team fight, right? So it gives you 2 infests, essentially, and that is really nice. So perhaps that's another reason to buy this item, maybe even the best item if your team has a jumper. Funny enough, they kind of don't this game. It's a Midas Abaddon with a Blink Dagger and an Orchid, so it's like a discount Storm Spirit. But yeah, goes in, gets ravaged. This is where Sanchanyasha is way better than Manta Style for the slow resist and for the status resist, as I feel like maybe he would have died, you know, if he was a little bit weaker. But honestly, the enemy team isn't even that far behind. They just don't have the damage without the Storm Spirit in this case. I don't exactly know what he's doing here, going inside of their fountain, but yeah, this is just classic Lifestealer. Enemy team all-ins you, you don't die, you reset, and then they have nothing left to stop you. And would you look at that? Not less than a minute later, or about a minute later, he gets gone on and lives. Just another situation of classic Lifestealer. Actually, he probably ends up dying here. Wait, what? They didn't see him? That is fortunate. I don't know, it's really funny watching him just infest bomb with these very weird heroes. Infest bomb Ember, infest bomb Abaddon. I mean, they really don't have the best hero. Like, Marcy is also pretty B tier infest bomb, but they're making it work. As in this team fight, you kind of just hit what's in front of you. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't prioritize PA a little bit more. He has the PA counter items, which is Abyssal and MKB, right? This item combo is definitely the best way to answer PA on almost any carry. And yeah, that's the end of the game. This is like a pretty common ending inventory. I would say the only thing is if you buy S and Y, the Abyssal is a little bit worse because it builds from Sanj, so they actually overlap, which is a little sad. You can still buy it anyway. It's not the end of the world, but just something you should know. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace!